Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to the 41st Annual Rozzell Lecture Series. My name is Stephanie Street, and I am proud to serve as the Executive Director of the Clinton Foundation. And let me say how proud and pleased we are to partner with the Arkansas Education Association and the Clinton School of Public Service to honor one of our state's most dedicated educators, Forrest Rozzell, with this impactful lecture series. Before I begin, I want to just introduce some guests in the audience that I noticed as I walked in that I'd like to recognize and thank. I'd like to first recognize my colleagues, Nate Thomas, who is the Educational Programming Manager for the Clinton Center. Nate is here somewhere, right? And then Kathleen Pate, who manages programs, educational programs for the Clinton Library, is here. Thank you both so much for everything you do. I don't know if Dean Rutherford is here, but he told me he was going to try to get here, so tell him that I recognized him if you see him, because I don't see him out in the audience right now. Of course, I'd like to recognize Superintendent of Little Rock Schools, Michael Poore, a great champion and supporter of our programming and educational offerings at the Clinton Center. Thank you so much. And my principal, Nancy Rousseau, Little Rock Central High School. She saved me a seat. I was very grateful for that. And then State Senator Linda Chesterfield is here too. Thank you so much. Happy to see you. You know, the Clinton Center and the AEA share a common goal: to prepare our students to succeed in an increasingly competitive and interdependent world. And at the Clinton Center, we strive to provide inspiring and impactful experiences for educators and students of all ages. As an educator, I hope you've come to the Clinton Center to take advantage of our free professional development workshops and a variety of topics with subject matter experts. And I encourage you, please, I encourage you to bring your students to participate in a service learning program or a day of action, to allow students to explore their core values and leadership potential as part of our Presidential Leadership Series, to learn about critical decision-making by taking part in our interactive civic literacy programming, to learn how to increase their capacity to understand past and current social justice and human rights struggles, or apply their creativity and technical skills by constructing a stunning outfit made of recycled materials to be showcased in the Clinton Center's preeminent green fashion show entitled Curbside Couture. And those are just a few of the many programs and tours that we offer for students. And it's important for me to note to you that all of those programs and tours that I mentioned, and many, many others, are all offered at no cost to you, your school, or to your students. Additionally, we offer transportation grants to schools that might need some extra resources for transportation. We are truly committed to fulfilling President Clinton's vision for his presidential center to be an extension of your classroom for students and teachers from all across Arkansas to take part in. And I hope every one of you in the audience, whether you're an educator, an administrator, or just part of our community that came tonight, I hope you have had an opportunity to take part of the Clinton Center's experiences. We have a wide variety of them, everything from prominent programs or featuring Americans like former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, or Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, or perhaps you were here you got to see and hear from people like civil rights icon Marian G, just to name a few. Those are all part of the Compurus Distinguished Lecture Series, which we partner with the Clinton School on to bring those opportunities to our community. Or perhaps you've come to see one of our very interesting and unique temporary exhibits like Oscar de la Renta, everything from motorcycles to beautiful art from the Muslim world to our current temporary exhibit entitled the 25th Anniversary Collection of the White House Collection of American Crafts. Or perhaps you've come to visit to see a historic document that we've had on display, like the Emancipation Proclamation, or part of the original Louisiana Purchase, or George Washington's annotated copy of the Bill of Rights. Those are just a few of the documents that we've provided to schools and teachers to come visit for free over the last several years. Or perhaps, or I hope, you will come and enjoy a delicious meal prepared at our on-site restaurant, and a delicious and affordable, let me say, meal at 42 Bar and Table, which we've recently renovated. Or maybe as the holidays approach, you'll have an opportunity to visit the Clinton Museum store for a very unique gift. Our goal at the center is to provide every visitor that comes through our doors a presidential experience, and not just once, but every single time they come back to the center to visit. Now, please allow me just to say a few words about tonight's speaker, the 2019 Arkansas Teacher of the Year, Stacey McAdoo. She is the teacher that students will be talking about for decades. She is the teacher who embraces, even invents, innovative ways to reach our students. She is the teacher whom her colleagues look to for guidance and example. She is the teacher that we wish we all had. She is a teacher who changes lives, and I am incredibly grateful that she teaches at Little Rock Central High School, where my daughters, Olivia and Catherine, are attending as a junior and a sophomore. Thank you so much, Ms. McAdoo, for everything you do to educate and inspire kids from across this community. We are so grateful for everything that you do. It is now my great privilege to introduce the remarkable Kathy Kohler, president of the AEA. Yes, I heard somebody give you a little shout out there. Kathy has truly positioned herself as a powerful, let me say fierce and staunch advocate for her fellow educators. She is a skilled negotiator, to say the least. She is also a chronic over-deliverer, if that is a word. If Kathy says she's going to get something done, it'll get done, probably twice. Please help me welcome to the stage AEA President Kathy Kohler.
So, I'd first like to acknowledge a man that makes a difference for the lives of our children across the state in his volunteer position as chair of the Arkansas Department of Education State Board, Dr. Jay Barth. I'd also like to acknowledge, just personally for just a moment, the Executive Director of the Arkansas Education Association, Tracy Ann Nelson, the Vice President, Mary Knight from Lee County, Secretary Treasurer from Helena, West Helena, Brenda Brown, National Education Association Director from Pulaski County, Brenda Robinson, the AEA Board of Director members who are present, and finally, I want to recognize all of the educators who have taken this evening to come and learn from a woman that I cannot begin to describe how much admiration I have for her. So I'm going to make this brief, which is not something I'm known for, and I'm going to share with you her background, but I want you to know that I've known Stacy and LaRon, it seems like forever. I have a charcoal drawing that LaRon did of me, and of course, C.E. McAdoo. Reverend McAdoo, where are you? He was our school board member for Little Rock School District. Wow. There are people who don't only just touch the lives of children, there are educators who touch the lives of other educators. Stacey McAdoo, without a doubt, is one of those individuals. And so it is my honor to share with you that she is a writer, an educator, and an advocate for literacy. She has participated in several literacy and spoken word organizations such as Sankofa, I hope I said that right. What? Sankofa Poets, Word Up Poetry Troupe, and Foreign Tongues. Ms. McAdoo is an Arkansas Education Association Educator to Educator presenter, and she's done that for years, long before this her well-deserved recognition. She teaches a communications class, and then she is the AVID coordinator at her school. And Stacy and I have talked about this. For our school districts that do not have an AVID program, we must do more to spread the word, and I know that Ms. Rousseau would agree with me on the benefits of an AVID program in high schools in this state. It is by far a program that benefits our students who in the past have been the least likely to have the opportunity, the skills, the preparation to go on to higher learning. And it is amazing what occurs in that AVID classroom, and we've got to work together to help expand that program. Stacy integrates arts into her instruction. In addition, she has conducted workshops and poetry readings at numerous schools, libraries, universities, and cultural enrichment programs. Frankly, folks, she's in demand. She is the author of Sweet Melanin, Messages, and Bearing My Soul. Stacy is the sponsor of the World Youth Collective called Righteous Poets and has served as co-producer of the youth-oriented poetry radio show entitled The Righteous Hour on KABF, no less. It's a wonderful station, and if you haven't listened, please do. She holds a BA in professional and technical writing, a Master's of Arts in teaching, and is a distinguished public school educator. Some of her most recent awards, but by far not the only awards that she has received, has included being designated as the University of Arkansas at Little Rock's Distinguished High School Mentor, the Marian G. Lacey Little Rock School District Educator of the Year, the Regional Arkansas Teacher of the Year, and most recently named, so deservingly and in a most amazing opportunity to be there. I just can't begin to tell you, the emotion was overwhelming for all of us. The 2019 Arkansas Teacher of the Year. It is my pleasure to introduce Stacey McAdoo.
Well, that was great. That was great. You know, not Stacey McAdoo. My mama named me LaRon Charles McAdoo. And as you cue up the video and the music, go ahead and start playing that music. It's about to go down to the right town that's great in the A-State. My name is Ron Mac the Hipoptimist. Now that's the name I gave myself. But I'm known as someone else now. People always call me Stacy's husband. An honor that I'm glad to have. If you could pump up that music a little bit. And I wonder about Stacy. I wonder something about her. And you know what I wonder? It's a real simple question. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Super fine lady. Who's that lady? Education lady. Who's that lady? Motivation lady. Who's that lady? She's the one that's at her desk, passing that test, making sure you do no mess. Look at, but don't touch. You better look at what's on her desk and don't touch. join me up on the mic, but hey, yeah, do that white talk, because we're gonna play a little video. He's gonna introduce it, and after the video, the next word you will hear from the teacher of the year. So introduce this video.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Trayla Cranford. I am a recent graduate from the Little Rock Central High School. I'm a 2018 graduate. I currently attend the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and this video is the 60th commemoration for the 60th commemoration of the desegregation of my high school. I performed it with another two of my other colleagues, Chauncey Williams Wesley and Marian McAdoo.
Pencils, check. Paper, check. Notebooks, check. Courage, check. Perseverance, check. Nonviolent mindset, check. 1957 was nowhere near heaven. Lessons in education was a threat, so they made sure we felt threatened. Ignorance was the strongest weapon, so when we were granted better schooling credit, now adolescents came face to face with oppression. Set in, right here, in Little Rock, Arkansas. I feel confused. I left Old Horse Man and I was heavy-hearted. Lasting friendships gone within an instant. I barely had enough time to say goodbye, but had just enough time to say hello as I picked up that phone. I could kill you without even flinching.
Every night back at home,
Pick one, hanging or lynching.
stop calling me. How did I get here? Big man on campus 1 second, black bulls out of the nest. Looking foolish, one heck of a fall from grace. At the time I was clueless. Mama said, we still part of the human race, and that's why I gotta do this. Even though at times I didn't think I'd get through this, and the prayers might not have made the glass less sharp. But the blood that ran from my body was that of a tiger. I couldn't see past my nose, but see what they didn't know is that when I bled black and gold. I feel pressure. 1 point of view. 2 things you thought you knew. 3 birds got shot and still flew. I'm a prisoner of the pressure that I find myself within, only to be held hostage, not only to myself, but to the vicious anger portrayed in everyone else. Walking down the hallway, contorted vicious cruelty, walking down the stairs as people continue to stare, and this is all just on the journey. Heading home. The oldest will still take care of his true duties. Wish I could just click my heels 3 times and disappear. Maybe that's my excuse for leaving after my junior year. The pressure had me down, yet I had these guys to help lift me up.
I feel anxious. I was just beginning to feel the heat. As summer ended, the pressure was all on me. The whole family, the whole race was dependent on me. I'm anxious because at this point, this is more than just going to school. I wake up at night in cold sweats because of dreams of death threats and missiles constantly aimed at my neck. I hope this pays off.
How am I helping?
My pops got laid off.
This is too overwhelming.
Oh, homie's calling me son.
Am I ready for this lesson?
I gained strength from my older brother. The other day, he turns to me and tells me,
I look up to you.
and it meant so much because I'm the youngest. I'm just a baby.
Jeff, quit that talking crazy. You continue to outdo me and amaze me.
It sounded great, but it didn't make anything easier. The attack still hurt. Kicks to the head got worse, and glass cuts were nowhere near perks, but it made my heart stronger. Made my will last longer. I got past all my tears, kept my head through the lost year, and now I can say I'm a graduate. Mama.
Don't cry no more.
Daddy.
Don't cry no more. We were ready. Everything you ever checked for.
We're 3 small victories in this war. Role models for future generations to push towards.
60 years and this is a war we still can't afford.
Blacks get set back every day. It's unfair, but we can still celebrate the progress we all share. We're proud Tigers. Can I get a roll call?
Ernest Green, Terrence Rock,
Jefferson Thomas.
Central Hoorah!
So when the 60th commemoration of Little Rock Central High School was a year away, I directed the Righteous Poets to imagine being in their shoes. And that's exactly what they did. And they delivered. Their delivery far exceeded every expectation I had ever had. From that experience, they were able to have intimate conversations with some of the Little Rock Nine, and they published a book titled A Righteous Look at the Crisis. They did lots of live performances. They served as poetic tour guides. They had and still have lots of opportunities to speak, and they also conduct youth workshops. Like most of the righteous lessons that I try to instill in them, it involved a lot of research. It involved lessons in how to effectively communicate, how to collaborate with one another. It afforded them an opportunity to express themselves and gave them an opportunity to learn how to monetize their talents. So the video you just watched was written and performed by Traylon Cranford. Let's give him another round of applause. And the two other, Marian McAdoo and Chauncey, they are a little further away in college right now, but at the time of the writing, all three of them were 16, 17-year-old high school students writing about other teenage high schoolers. And just like the righteous poets, I found my poetic voice when I was in high school. Hello, my name is Stacey McAdoo. How y'all doing? I am an educator in the Little Rock School District at the Little Rock Central High School, where I've taught since 2002. And for as long as I can remember, I've always been a writer. Writing has always been how I have interpreted the world, how I have discovered what I know. So I never really knew what I knew until I wrote what I knew. And although I've always been a writer, poetry wasn't necessarily my cup of tea until I was in the 10th grade in Miss Milloway's speech communications class at Hall High School. And in that class, we had to do an oral interpretation assignment. And she suggested that I go and get a book called Equality and I Will Be Free by Maya Angelou. At the time, I was like, I'm not trying to do anything with poetry. I don't like brown cow house type of stuff. Like, that was not what I wanted to do. But I got the book and I started reading it, and the title poem for the book, or however you say it, just really, really resonated with me. And that was the first time that I had ever seen and heard poetry that looked like and sounded like me. Take the blinders from your vision. Take the padding from your ears. Admit you've seen me crying. Admit you've seen my tears. I kind of messed that up. I'm going to redo that one. Take the blinders from your vision. Take the padding from your ears. Confess you've seen me crying. Admit you've heard my tears. Knees shaking, voice trembling, heart racing, fighting back tears, all of those things. My 15-year-old self hurled out these words to my communications class, and it changed my life. It allowed me to see that I wasn't the only one who wanted people to truly see me, and that I wasn't the only one who wanted acknowledgement of my humanness and atonement for the wrongs that were done to me. Poetry has been teaching me life lessons ever since. And speaking of lessons, Jamie McAdoo is going to come out and share a little bit with you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie McAdoo. I'm a senior at Central High School. I'm a professional poet, an award-winning playwright, and a now published author with an original book of poetry out entitled 17. And before I proceed, can everybody snap? Can everybody say, okay? Wow. That's called feedback. So if y'all hear any lines you like in any of the remaining of the poetry that you hear today, please snap or say or give feedback, and let us poets feel good up here as we're giving our soul and expressing ourselves on stage. Thank you. So this is an original poem that I wrote for the anniversary of the 60th commemorations of the desegregation of Central last year during September, when we were performing a lot. This is one of the poems that I often performed, entitled Lessons Still Relevant. My parents were my first history teachers. At an early age, in my earliest days, I was taught the culture behind my race, the beauty beyond my face, the common inventions and ways of living that you can trace back to Africa. I knew about the brotherhood, that was taken from the motherland. My mother's hands never changed my natural roots. My mother's hands held me as we watched Roots. My father's glance compelled me to pay attention to Roots. My brother and I watched Eyes on the Prize. My brother and I watched documentaries that show Martin Luther King died, Emmett Till died, black people died. In America, black people died. My brother and I watched the news as Trayvon Martin's parents cried. My parents took us to museums and we observed the gems. They took us to lectures and we listened back then. They taught us about Central High School too. Way before we went to school, and in a way, I feel like the 10th Little Rock 9, from behind, the little sister of them all, the fly on the wall, the shadow on call, and I saw how they retreated. And I saw how they retreated, and I violently fought the system that fought them back 10 times harder. I saw because I am the daughter of the movement. I knew this at an early age, so by 9th grade, I expected attending Central High to be iconic, to be as if I would be a part of history. I represent the third wave generation after the desegregation. It's amazing that it wasn't that long ago. I know that we have come from a long ways, but we still have a ways to go. But at least in Arkansas, we can say it started at Central High, where I am now one of 9 black students in a school of nearly 3,000, a place that has over 20 languages and counting, a school where I am not greeted every day with 2, 4, 6, 8. We don't want to integrate shoutings. In 1957, Central High was the beginning of change. And I knew this at an early age, I mean in my earliest days, because my parents were my first history teachers.
So education for me extends beyond the classroom and even beyond my family. After founding and editing the Righteous magazine, when I became a classroom teacher, I brought the Righteous with me to Central. Today, the Righteous is a youth poetry collective that serves students and communities all over the Mid-South region of the United States. We have alumni who have gone on to be nationally recognized slam poets, bloggers, journalists, scientists, doctors, entrepreneurs, any and every career field you can think of, our poets are in those arenas. Righteous has been and is consistently a safe place where students are allowed to be who they are, to find their confidence, to discover their truths, to share tears, love, and even critiques. We are a family, and it has afforded us and them and me and all of us the courage to reveal our most intimate and guarded secrets. And like me, all of them use poetry to make sense of the world around them. So, coming to the stage now to share with you their interpretation of how and why, how they are trying to make sense of their world is Stacey McAdoo, Tamaya Sissa, and Vanessa Washington with another original piece, and this one is entitled, It's Not a Drill.
My mommy packed a sweet note in my lunchbox one day. It said, I love you, baby. Do good and have a good day. It was random. I said, I love you too. As I opened my Capri Sun juice with hands that have only touched 10 years, but in that one day, eyes that saw what seemed like 10 years of tears, a man came and shot up my school one day.
This man, he had a big toy.
He wanted to play.
But I didn't want to play his game.
This is why the teachers were acting so funny after the principal came up on the intercom. This is why everybody in the school tried to remain calm, but inside there was no intercom. This is why the classroom doors were locked. We were on lockdown.
I heard loud noises from the other room. Then they stopped. Then I heard them in mine. I couldn't see them because my head was down.
This is why they told us to stay down, stay down, stay down. It's okay, it's okay. It's not okay.
I was so afraid.
He kicked the door down. Loaded the trigger and fired as my peers' blood stains on their little collared uniform shirts got bigger and bigger.
I couldn't think. The sight of everyone running.
Teachers hiding behind chairs.
Sounds the gunshots that bled through my adolescent ears.
Police, helicopters.
Bled through my ears.
My ears.
Bled through my adolescent ears, Lord. Why?
I was just a child.
A child that just wanted to color. A child that didn't have any anger towards anyone.
A child that didn't even know how to spell bullet before you hit me with one.
A child that just wanted to go home that day.
When I call your name, They're not here. Young pupils damaged and torn, and a place where us kids are supposed to call safe.
Thurman Douglas High School wasn't safe.
Marshall County High School wasn't safe. Charlotte High School wasn't safe.
So why talk about safe?
Why did you come into my school and take my life if you were just going to kill yourself? We even have to take away our class time to talk about our escape plan. What did you expect to get from this?
Was it a feeling of relief that you didn't have to deal with your life anymore?
Because in reality, you don't get to run away. In reality, you don't get to decide that life's too hard. In reality, you don't get to shoot up a school because someone bullied you years ago.
Why did you feel like you were the only one special enough to get revenge, yet you get all the attention? School shooter killed 11 innocent children.
School shooter doesn't get arrested for killing 11 innocent children.
School shooter gets placed in a mental hospital.
School shooter gets out for good behavior while 11 innocent children are still dead.
It's not fair. You had a choice. I didn't choose to die.
I didn't choose for my parents to suffer. I didn't have the choice to survive. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Mommy? My mommy visited my grave today.
She brought flowers.
She whispered to God that I was her growing, beautiful little flower that God plucked and yanked out of the ground.
Before I was ready to bloom.
And boom.
She crushed the flower.
And it was now just as lifeless as me. When I call your name, please say here.
So, when you hear me say that poetry saved my life, or that I love my poets, or I love my students, it is not an exaggeration, and I'm not throwing around that word love lightly. With poetry, nothing is off limits. The only restrictions are how far you're willing to feel. I encourage you to write. I encourage you to communicate the wisdom, the advice, the knowledge that you've accumulated. And I don't know about you, but poetry is important to me because all that I truly own are my thoughts. And while that may sound like an easily discernible notion, it's not. Sometimes I have to ask myself, is this what I really think or what I think I'm supposed to think? Am I thinking this way to make a statement, or do I make a statement because I'm thinking this way? If I believe that I'm naturally beautiful, then why do I feel so much prettier when I do unnatural things to alter my being, like counting calories or popping pills to lose vanity pounds, or using chemicals or excessive heat to change the color or texture of my hair, or splashing shower gels, oils, and perfumes to disguise my scent, or applying bat feces and lip liner to lips already naturally colored and clearly defined, or for that matter, shaving, shaping, or plucking hair and sanding heels to feel more soft and feminine. I read somewhere that turtles grow to fit their environment, that a small turtle in a small bowl would never outgrow her home, and I wonder if any similar studies have been conducted on humans, specifically on little black girls living with the dead, at war with themselves, who grew up possibly too fast, playing hide and seek with love until finally being tagged, who were born and raised in little southern states, never to have made a home outside of their birth cities. And while I am no longer naive enough to believe that poetry can change the world, I am wise enough to admit that it has changed my life. And since my thoughts are all that I own, I owe it to myself to be truthful about them, to use them as a negotiator, a truce, a ceasefire for the bulging war within, and to accumulate and construct my worth while adding value to my life. One thought, one word, one line, one poem at a time. Thank you. So what I would like to do now is we would like to open it up for questions that you may have of me, of the poets. But before we do the question and answers, I do want to get my thank yous out so that I don't forget that. Righteous poets, I want to thank you for everything that you have done for me. This is crazy. I didn't think I was going to cry for them. But when I tell y'all about the unbelievable work ethic that they have, anytime I have asked them to do anything, they do it. And they do it to the 10th degree. And I love, love, love y'all for that. Mr. Marian McAdoo. I want to thank you for making me feel like a celebrity before anybody ever knew my name. Thank you. Mama, there are not enough words for me to thank you. You have believed in me since before I believed in myself, and I thank you for that. To Mrs. Russo, to Mr. McAdoo, to everybody that came out, all of my friends, family members, community members, teachers, educators, everyone here. On behalf of myself, the Righteous Poets, we sincerely thank you for providing us this support. And lastly, to the LREA, Clinton School, and Ron Robinson staffs, thank you for allowing us this platform to share a little piece of our souls with you. We will now take questions and answers. I believe they have set up a couple of microphones out there. If anybody wants to come up and ask us anything, we would love to entertain your questions.
Stacy, I actually have a question for you or the students. How much research do you do prior to your writing process?
Well, particularly the poem that we just did, it's called It's Not a Drill. I wanted to make it more personal. And after the Parkland shooting in Florida, I felt like I needed to say something. And I feel like if I added the schools, the children, an aspect that will make me become more, engulfed into what I'm actually reading, then it will make so much of a difference. And I feel like doing research, for one, will let you know so much more about it, so you'll get the insight on either what happened, how the person felt. It just depends what topic that you're reading over. Like the 60th, we had to do a lot of research on the Little Rock 9, what actually happened, because a lot of people know what happened. Oh, it was the desegregation of Little Rock Central High School, but they don't actually know what happened and things deeper inside of it. So I feel like that's a very important aspect when you're writing, and I feel like it puts more of your energy into it.
To follow up on what she said about research, the poem that you saw us perform, our Little Rock 9 group piece, when we wrote our group piece, we kind of had to feel how they felt, and we had to kind of relate ourselves to them. So myself, as well as Narelle and Chauncey, we met up at my house, and we really researched what their lives were like. Like me, related to Terrence Roberts, we were both the oldest of our families. Like, I'm the oldest brother, I have a younger brother, he's here right now, Malcolm, he's sitting over there. So I was the oldest, I had to compare myself to being like the oldest, but I couldn't really get that, I never really had that, because once again, I actually have an older brother, so I have somebody to look up to, but I also have somebody that's looking up to me. And Narelle, I mean, he's the oldest. Chauncey, he's the oldest. So I mean, we all kind of had that attribute. It was like, so we each had something to dedicate to being the oldest. And then for Ernest Green and for Jefferson Thomas, we could all kind of relate ourselves to them and then broad off our researches.
And also to elaborate on the research with the 60th, so beyond just Googling, we were fortunate enough to interview 8 of the living Little Rock 9, and from those conversations, we got a lot of good stuff.
And Elizabeth Eckford corrected us a couple times. We learned that it is not to be called the integration because they didn't fully integrate. They weren't able to participate in everything, so it was a desegregation. And we wouldn't have known that had we talked to her. And also she made the distinction between, it wasn't the anniversary of it, because anniversary is in celebration, it was the commemorations, because we were like honoring and respecting what happened. So we got to learn a lot from the personal interviews that we got to make with the Little Rock 9, or the 8 of the Little Rock 9 when making those poems.
And I would just like to add, so you saw 2 pieces about the Little Rock 9, but they did such an extensive research on it. They actually have 20 poems that they put in a book just about the Little Rock 9. They probably had more than 20. Those were the ones that they put together that they were most proud of, because not every piece that we write is shared with the public. Not every piece that we write we're happy with. So it's a lot of revision, it's a lot of redo, and a lot of research. Any other questions?
And you all can make your way to proximity of the mindset.
Woohoo! You guys did awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's awesome. My question is, how difficult was it to get the book published? Because before I leave here, I would, not here, but of this life, I would like to have a book published, and it seems so difficult to think in my head how a person could possibly have a book published. And this young lady, so proud, already has one. So what's the process? How difficult is it to get a book actually published in print?
So it's not very difficult. There are a couple of different paths that you can take. The Righteous Poets, they did everything in-house. So all they had to do was physically, we have access to computers and Word. Like, we didn't even use any extravagant processing software, and they physically put it together and we took it to a printer. And that was how they did the Righteous look at the crisis. But Jamie and Mr. McAdoo might be able to expand a little bit on the process that they use for their.
So, as mentioned earlier by Stacy, she was the founder and editor of the Righteous magazine, which that's when it all came about, and it was birthed as an idea to be a collective of writers. And so my company, Backyard, which you saw on the end of the video clip, it was housed up under that. And so we started doing subsidized publishing, because at the time when she wasn't teaching, she was writing books. She wrote 3 books, actually. One was just for her family, called Our Story. And that was the first book she published, and we went to Kinko's, FedEx now, and we made the book. And we were like, oh man, okay, maybe we should start publishing. So we started a subsidized publishing company. And so we would take manuscripts, and we've done a lot of books. Scars of a Lynching by Edith McClinton that talked about the Broadway lynchings. We have somebody authored a children's book, gave us the manuscript, and we did that. Mama Got Eyes in the Back of Her Head, memoirs, poetry books, all kind of things. So Stacy has interviewed people, and she loves the fact that she doesn't have to listen to tape recorders no more, and people can just give it to her in word form. Actually, I probably don't need to give her any more work that she already has right now. But yeah, so the publishing is something that we did as a subsidized publishing company, but it is not, in these days, you want to know the true meaning of cut and paste? Imagine 2 young married newlyweds cutting paper and stick blowing them in position at FedEx when it was a 24-hour establishment. That's what cut and paste is really about. So when we can just click and drag and, oh man, cut and paste, baby, cut and paste.
And actually, had we had access to computers like we do now 20 years ago, I probably would still be publishing books and stuff, but it was very labor intensive because we did physically put every page together, and that was a lot of work. Okay. Jamie, were you gonna say something? I saw you.
Hello, Ms. McAdoo.
Hello, Jane McCoy. How are you?
I'm good. So you've been an educator for how long?
16 years.
16 years. That's amazing.
Officially. I've been an educator, really.
Okay, my question for you is, I know this has to be like one of the highlights of your educational career. So my question for you is, what's next?
Okay, so it's a good question. My position as Arkansas Teacher of the Year does not officially begin until July of this next year, July of 2019. I know. It doesn't quite feel like that right now, but that's officially when I take on that role. I am currently the Rock School District Teacher of the Year. And after this school year, I will then be doing a year of service. The paper has quoted it as a sabbatical, and everybody thinks that I'm going to go home and sit down and be able to write books and do all of this stuff. That's not what it is. It is a year of service where I will travel the United States and within Arkansas, representing Arkansas. We have roughly 34,000 certified public educators in the state of Arkansas and about 500,000 students. So I will be their voice. I will go to schools and watch learning occur. I will be a student. I will really pretty much do any and everything. I will be an ambassador for education.
We have time for 3 more questions.
Hi. Hello. I just want to say you guys are awesome. You have so much emotion. I didn't come here thinking I was going to cry, but I actually have a question for you, Ms. McAdoo. I'm interested in your philosophy of how you teach with art. What do you teach?
So I teach a class called Speech Communication.
Okay.
And I also teach a class called AVID, which is Advancement via Individual Determination. And it's a college readiness class for students. Inside both of those classes, more specifically in communications, I'm able to integrate the arts a little more easily. But my philosophy is that every student can learn, wants to learn, and deserves to learn. And the way that I learn is through the arts. So instead of teaching with the arts, I truly try to teach through the arts. I try to teach through music, through visual art. In my mind, every assignment, every lesson, or maybe not every assignment, every unit, I try to incorporate at least 1 or 2 of the multiple intelligences because I, as a student, knew what I needed, and I just really try to be the teacher that I wanted and needed when I was growing up. And I know that students learn in different ways, so if I can incorporate as many different things to allow them multiple entry points into the lesson, I'll have them, and I do. And they're wonderful.
Good evening.
Hello.
Again, I want to commend you guys. You did a great job. And my question to you is, you say you teach through the arts.
Mm-hmm.
I love the arts. However, I'm not artistic. And I'm a math teacher. Most people hate math. What do you suggest that I do to try to include art in math?
See, okay.
I'm not doing so well.
Well, and I don't know if, first of all, I write, but that is the extent of my artistry. However, I love music. I sing all the time, even though I cannot sing. I make my students sing, and I dance, and I cannot dance. What were you gonna say, Tamara?
Okay, so I actually had Miss McAdoo in 9th grade, and she was my best friend's mother, and I did not know at the time. So I was just in the class.
What class did I have you for?
And I had her as a communication teacher. I also had to take Abbott, but she's not my teacher. Boo.
You know, you love Mr. Wilson.
So one of the first things we did that first week, she made us recite a song, and none of my class could sing, so it was kind of but it was talking about I Am a Promise, and it's one of the songs that they sung when she actually got awarded Teacher of the Year, and it just, I am a promise, I am a possibility, I am a promise with a capital P, I am a great big bundle of potentiality. And if I listen, I can make the right choice, and if I'm trying, no, if I listen, I can hear the right voice, and if I'm trying, I can make the right choice. I am a promise to be anything I want to be. And she, clap for that. And I didn't think communications would be like that. I didn't think I would go to class, and she made us recite it every single day. And she also does it to her Abbott classes. And I think that's something that, like I said, I'm a senior now, and I'm in 9th. When I took her when I was in 9th grade, I still remember every word to that song, you know. So, and it encouraged me to want to be in her class, want to learn, want to just, you know, just be engulfed in communications. I wanted to go to her class just to sing the song, like literally.
I kind of like, okay, so he asked, like, what can you do to be more artistic in math class? And I know one of Miss McAdoo's old teachers, Mr. Baker, he's still at Central High School right now. He tells us about how Miss McAdoo and the Righteous Poets inspire him so much, and now he's trying to get into involving his children more in math. So to answer your question, to get kids more into math, you got to do things that they like to do. I mean, Mr. Baker, he would make up games, and it would just be like the greatest thing ever, though, because we had Kahoot, but Kahoot was not always the thing to do. He would do what we do. He'd use wordplay and use rap lyrics, and he'd make you think about it. He'd add math problems with words, and you just really did sit there. So you got how many phones? I got 2 phones. Like I didn't know how he was doing it. It was so funny. And we thought it was funny because it was just corny, but he would do it every single time we came to class. So he would literally just start singing in class and just making fun with math, and that's all we did. I mean, it was kind of just fun for us.
And I have a different perspective. If you don't know, I am her daughter. So I have been seeing her work with the kids my whole life, and I've been exposed to her in the classroom. And it doesn't always have to be as direct as, okay, write a poem about this. Like, you can, it's just like indirect little things that kids don't even know that they're creating art. Those are really impactful too, like activities and just group work and, I don't know, just, you know, smaller activities where it's not on a direct level, like, okay, make a rap right now, make a song right now, although you could do that. But she also does subtle things where the kids are like, wow, I just created something. And that's pretty cool.
Well, you know, I think one thing that came to my mind was the fact that I tell my art students, this may be the only class you can cheat in. If somebody is drawing right, look over their shoulder and draw like them. Stacy must have heard that because she looks over everybody's shoulder and she gleans from everybody. And teachers are good idea thieves. We know how to sense a good idea, take a good idea, reinvent it, and now it's my idea. I'm a preacher kid, so I will say this quote. A preacher once said, the first time, I'm going to give you credit. The second time, I'm going to say, I learned this from somebody. Third time, it's mine. That's Stacey McAdoo.
And he is right. I tell people all the time that I was not created in a vacuum. I am because of all those who are. Every person in my life has played a vital role in helping me to craft lessons, to speak, everything. So I just take pieces from everywhere. made me think about your rap thesis and where you break dancing and all that. So anyway, I just take pieces from everywhere. In regards to classes, I know when I was in school, history class, I would sit in there all the time and I would wonder, why wasn't the teacher making us get up and bring this to life? And so one of the very first workshops that I created was called the Living Wax Museum. And it's a history, an Arkansas Histories workshop, where that is what we do. I teach history teachers how to make history living and fun, and it doesn't have to be dry. And so math, I don't know about that. But I would imagine that you could still do, actually I do, because I'm thinking of projects that I've seen math teachers at my school do. They have them do a lot of research. They also have them create posters and research mathematicians and become those mathematicians. They do a lot too. So you can still find creative ways to cover whatever topic. And if you don't know, there's somebody in your building who does, because the building is full of experts. I just go and knock on doors and look in windows and say, hey, I like that. And y'all think it's me, it's really not. I don't know where we are on time. I don't know, I truly don't know.
Awesome.
Okay.
Last one. Hi, my name is Eric Wilson, and I run an education nonprofit called Noble Impact. But I've noticed this incredible amount of trust and rapport that you have with your students, clearly. And what I've seen in other schools is when that happens with that teacher in that one classroom, that these kids want to talk about the things that are going on in their life. When that happens in your classroom, have you ever experienced, so some teachers have experienced challenges either with their administration or with parents, like I don't feel comfortable with my kids talking about gun rights or the Colin Kaepernick ad or anything. Anything that could be controversial, they're not still used to that conversation being facilitated outside of their home. So how do you manage that? The communications or with the parents and with the administration, if you've experienced that?
I view everything as a learning opportunity. The whole world is my classroom. So if a student comes to me and they have a question about the world, we research it. So I always start with the research, and it's not about what I think, it's not about what Channel 7 or 11 or 4, it's not about what any of those people say. It's about the issue, and I take it from there. And it's kind of hard to dispute facts. I think we are done. Is that my cue to, or are you asking a question? Are you coming up? Okay, no, I'm
Give it up for Stacey James McAdoo!
Before I turn it over to Nathan to end this, on behalf of the Arkansas Education Association, Stacy, I don't have a fancy bracelet. For those of you who don't know, my district, Stacy's district, I'm so proud of an employee of the Rock School District. When the assembly happened and they announced, they gave her a beautiful, I can't say that word, Lagos bracelet that is not to be believed. And but anyway, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much hope you give to me and thousands of educators in this state about what is possible.
is Nate Thomas, and I'm the Education Programs Manager for the Clinton Presidential Center. Before we get going, let's just celebrate all that we just witnessed on stage. That was amazing. So I'm here to really share with you a few things that we're doing at the Clinton Center at AEA and beyond, and wanted to kind of give you guys a preview of what we're doing here in Little Rock and within your schools as well. First, we presented today at 9 a.m., and I believe I see a few people that attended that session with us this morning, so thank you for being there. And tomorrow morning, thank you. Tomorrow morning, we're doing it again, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Salon B, and we're talking about how presidential history, the Clinton Center, can tie into civic engagement, C3 frameworks, and informed action. So if any of those things are of interest to you, we have a great presentation for you guys in the morning to talk about what we do and what we've seen educators be successful at, and how we can work together to really achieve some great things in civic engagement. So we hope to see you then. And we also have a booth at the convention hall. We're giving away free memberships, an education brochure, and all the things we have going on this calendar year, and some flyers of upcoming events we really hope you'll bring your students to as well. The second thing I really want to talk about is something that Stephanie brought up earlier, and that is our Student Presidential Leadership Series. Eric, I don't know if he's still here, is a graduate of the PLS program, which is for professional adults who are doing amazing things in their career and will be leaders as they are currently and as they grow through their career. But we asked one of the leaders, Dr. Hemphill, our Education Programs Director for the Clinton Foundation, to make something for students, because we know that, as we've seen today and in your classrooms as well, students are capable of phenomenal things. You have to challenge, you have to poke, you have to prod, but students have the solutions to things that we just don't have the answers to. And we asked him, can you adapt what he's done for these adults for high school and junior high school students? And he's given us a great program for students that we have on December the 5th and 7th. And we demoed this in the morning in our workshop, but it really challenges students to dig into their core values. At the center of every leader is a strong compass. They know what they stand for, and they also know what they don't stand for. And a lot of times we don't ask ourselves as adults, what's that one thing that will help me determine if I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that? And so from the beginning, we challenge students to think through what's important to them. And they don't like it because there's so many things they care about. We ask them, what is that one thing that you will not compromise on? And you'll be amazed at how different their answers are. So we get those answers. Some it's family, some it's fairness, for some it's money, and for some it's community. And there's a list of 22, and those are just arbitrary words. There's infinite reasons and infinite values kids can choose, but we dig into that. We talk through President Clinton's key decisions, his core values, his primary source documents, and show them that being a president is a privilege. It is difficult, and it is something that we all should strive for. So with that workshop, we really do inspire students and hope that we inspire educators as well to think through ways to drill into what it takes to lead in situations in history and in the future. And that always does bring up issues of contemporary times, which we welcome to talk about if students want to dive into more contemporary issues through that leadership workshop. So please do find us at the expo. We have papers, we have the pamphlet that gives you more information on how to sign up for that and get your kids involved. This is our third year doing it, and we've been really, really inspired by what we've seen in that workshop. And so much so that I have created something new this year with my team here at CPC called Seeds of Peace. And this is something that we're piloting this year. I've got a lot of hope and promise for this program. It's three pieces. The first part has already kind of been selected. We chose 15 educators and 15 students to be a part of a 3-day workshop being facilitated by a group called Seeds of Peace. And what this group is known for, they've got a summer camp in the Northeast, and they're known for dredging and talking through difficult conversations with diverse populations. And we've seen and heard from a lot of you that your classrooms represent a lot of diversity. And sometimes having conversations and understanding across those lines can be challenging. And we had over 70 students apply to be a part of this, and just over 25 educators choose to be a part of this as well. And they're giving their time, and teachers are getting every hour of PD we can per day to be a part of this. So we're hoping next weekend is when it's kicking off. We're going to have these students and teachers together and talk through what they care about. we see some of the poets on stage, we know what they care about. That was very, very well crafted and communicated, and we want to know more. And so with these 15 students, we hope to dig into that, make a safe space for them to have that conversation and give them the tools to talk to other people about that difficult conversation and what those pitfalls and spikes might be and how to be constructive and positive around that, because all great leaders have that skill. And what we're going to do in the spring is bring those students back and have them tell us what they want to talk about, and I and my team are going to create an Ideas Matter student forum that's going to be around the ideas that the students care the most about. So whatever that topic is, we'll build a program around that. We'll find the talent. We want to expose both sides, and we want to try to dig into what the real issues are. And we're going to have a conversation in, let me get that date for you. It'll be in March 28th, excuse me. And so we'll have a lot of information for you as well tomorrow, and hope that you guys will stop by our booth and come to the session to hear more about that. So that is really the gist of what I wanted to communicate today, that we, me personally, my mission at the Clinton Center is to inspire the next generation of leaders. And I truly hope that in one of your classrooms, and hopefully have stepped foot inside of our center, is a future leader. And I always tell our students every single day on the news, on the radio, on a national level, you hear in Arkansas, you might not know it, but we do produce leaders, and we want to make sure that if they come see us at the Clinton Center, they see history, they see a president, they see a man that grew up in a small town in a broken household, succeed in public schools, and do amazing things, and we want them to see that with their history and see that also within themselves. So with that, I want to thank everybody, AEA, for being great partners, the Clinton Center for helping provide this, and last but not least, our amazing restaurant, 42 Bar and Table. We are providing refreshments and food just outside this space for us to recept and have a great time. And if you have not been to our restaurant, it's fantastic. It's open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've got the best of the best for you out in the back. So with that, thank you guys for being here. Come see us at the Clinton Center, and let's go enjoy the food in the lobby. Thank you.